Okay. Is it Aya?
Hi, Naveen.
Aya.
Good
Hello.
morning.
Hello. Where are you calling from?
I'm based in Costa Rica. I live in the rainforest, and I felt such an happiness when I saw the retreat and I discovered your work. I felt called to come, and I would love to share beyond the thankfulness that I'm still learning, Rupert, to be here. To be, it's sometimes it's so intense to be here present. And I will say yes, that I'm learning to be here in those dimensions. And he's helping me to be more here. So we are attending the retreat together. And sometimes that friction, that fire, which is coming more and more stronger. So I work a lot. Working is not the word. I transform my acceptance on that friction, sometimes expressed as rage. And I do feel I was able to transform that rage that I had expressed so many times through hate against myself or others. I learned to accept it more and not to turn it on myself or others. So in a certain way, I discovered the sacredness of that rage and I accepted it. Nevertheless, I would love to hear about acceptance and gratitude. It's still sometimes, some days ago, I saw a video about Gaza and wounded children, and my heart poured so much. It was so painful. And I can perceive that life is expressing itself everywhere. The life force, the I am being. But sometimes it's so still painful. So I would love to hear you about gratitude, maybe to help myself. Thank you so much.
Aya, the rage you feel when you look at situations in the world where innocent children are and adults are suffering terribly. It's that is sacred outrage. It's not rage that arises on behalf of a feeling of separation. On the contrary, it's because you feel that the being of the children is the same being as yourself, that you feel compassion towards them. And when you feel that they are being violated, you feel that you are being violated. And so your outrage is impersonal outrage. It arises on behalf of love. It doesn't arise on behalf of hatred. So, and then there are other feelings that arise on behalf of a personal self. Rage, hatred can also, hatred particularly, arises on behalf of a personal self. But the kind of outrage you feel is it's compassion. It comes from compassion. It comes from love. It comes from feeling that you are one with the other, and you feel that they are being violated. So don't feel that your outrage is in any way a failure of your understanding. In terms of gratitude, just feel that you are grateful for anything in your life that encourages you to explore more deeply and recognize the nature of being. Anything, any influence in your life that makes you long to know the nature of being more deeply and to live the implications of that recognition. Be grateful for it, even if it is painful in your life, a painful separation, some injustice that you receive at the hands of another person. Situations like this, that anything that make you go deeper into yourself, to find that part of yourself that cannot be hurt, that always remains the same. Be grateful for that, however stringent the circumstance may be. Of course, I'm not referring to being grateful for the positive things in your life. We don't need to be encouraged to be grateful for the positive things in our life. So I was focusing more on the things that we're normally not grateful for, and thereby miss an opportunity. The Shankaracharya used to tell a story of one of his devotees called Kunti, who prayed for adversity. I'm not recommending we go there. Most of us, our lives are difficult enough without actually praying for adversity. But she used to pray for adversity. She said her only prayer was, Lord, give me some adversity, because it is only in adversity that I remember you. So that's the attitude of gratitude towards adversity.
Is there beauty in adversity? Is it possible to perceive the beauty of creation in the adversity?
Beauty is never in creation. There is no beauty in creation. Beauty is an intervention of reality into the appearance of things. It's an intervention of infinite being into our dualistic way of perceiving the world. When we're walking in nature, we see something, and we even say it took my mind away. It blew my mind. What happened? We saw the landscape, the tree, the person, the poem, we saw or read or heard something. What do we mean when it says it took my mind away, it took my breath away, it blew my mind? What we mean is it brought my mind to an end. And as the mind ends, as the mind falls, the background of being shines. That is the experience of beauty. The mind then rises again and attributes the beauty to the landscape, because the mind doesn't know better. It says the landscape is beautiful. No, the landscape brought the mind to an end temporarily. It cut across the minds. You were daydreaming, or you were thinking, and the mind was flowing in time, daydreaming, and then you saw the landscape. Your mind, it cut through your mind. That's what nirvana means. Nirvana means blown out. The landscape, it blows out your mind. It cuts through the discursive process of your mind. And at that moment, being, which was lying behind your mind all the time, it shines. That is the experience of beauty. And then the mind rises again and wrongly attributes the beauty to the landscape. So the beauty is never in creation. It is always a crack in creation. through which the infinite shines through. So, but to go back to your question, is there ever beauty in adversity? Some circumstances, some very pleasant circumstances, intense pleasure and intense pain or intense adversity have this same power to bring the discursive activity of the mind to an end. And as the mind is blown out, as the mind comes to an end, the background of being shines. So some circumstances, grief, for instance, tremendous grief, let's say the loss of a dear friend. There's just nothing your mind can do to accommodate the sorrow, the grief. There's nowhere, normally if we're feeling an uncomfortable feeling, our mind, we have our repertoire of ways of escaping our uncomfortable feelings, the fridge, the bottle, whatever, the YouTube clip, whatever. But some experiences are so strong, some grief, for instance, is so strong, it's so powerful, that there's nothing we can do with the mind. Our usual avenues of avoidance are ineffective. And so the grief is so strong, it brings the mind to an end. And then, at that moment, when the mind ends because of the intensity of the grief, you're flooded with love. That's why grief and love are so close. Sometimes people in intense danger. It's why people, I would suggest, like practicing extreme sports. Because at that moment of intense danger, you're faced with the fear of death. You bring the mind is brought to an end, and the background of being shines. So in the midst of intense danger, you feel this peace, and it's addictive. So these are all examples where the peace is not in the experience, the love is not in the experience, the beauty is not in the adversity, but certain adverse experiences, likewise intense pleasure, has the same capacity to bring the mind to an end, and then the background of being shines, and we attribute the beauty, the nature of being, we attribute it to the object or the person that brought about the intense pleasure, but we wrongly attribute it to the person. So know that the beauty is never in the adversity, but the adversity has, some situations are so adverse, they have the power to blow the mind out, to bring the mind to an end, and then the background shines. And the reason Kunti prayed for adversity is because she noticed in her life that it's mainly the adverse experiences that had this capacity to bring her back to being, in her language, to God's presence. So she actually prayed for such experiences.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Rupert.
Thank you. Nice to meet you and your son.
Thank you.